I'm in my zone. I'm in my zone. Breaking them as they come. Who crowning that number one?
Welcome to In the Zone. Before we get into it, if you like what you're hearing, please remember to subscribe to us on iTunes, YouTube, and SoundCloud. Give us 5 stars and give me your best take in the comments. If you missed it the past couple of weeks, we have switched to a new format for the NBA playoffs called Me Against the World.
It's just me against the world, baby.
Each week, I'll bring in a different guest to debate the hottest topics in the NBA playoffs. Whoever the best guest ends up being will lock in that person as my debate partner for the entire NBA Finals. So let's get to it. This week, we've got longtime reporter and current FS1 analyst, Rob Parker. All right, I want to welcome my man Rob Parker into the Zone, man. It's great to have you here. It's been too long.
It's been way too long.
I can't believe you haven't been to the Zone before.
And I'm ready for it. You know that. I've been wanting to get at you for a long time.
I don't think you're going to be feeling that way in about 30 minutes.
We'll see.
But look, let's get right to it. LeBron James needs 25 points to pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and become the second leading scorer in NBA playoff history, second, of course, to Michael Jordan. Is he the second best player in NBA playoff history?
I would say no. And I know people will automatically think of LeBron and the here and now. And
it could be
7 years in a row, and I get all that. But when I look at, I think sometimes people discount Shaq's career and what he was able to do in the playoffs. Because I think where he has an upper hand on LeBron is his playoff average, and he won 3 straight championships, something that LeBron never did. Yep. I think that puts you on another plateau and level. And granted, he had Kobe, but if I were to look at LeBron and tell you that he had Wade and Bosh,
Kyrie,
and they won 2 out of 4 down in Miami, some people would say that's good. It should have been great, and it wasn't great. It was good, very good. Yeah. But it should have been better. I think Shaq is a better player.
I in the playoffs, or you think
in
better
the playoffs?
Overall?
In the playoffs,
not overall.
No,
overall career. Yeah, I would agree with you. I think at this point I put Shaq ahead of LeBron in terms of playoff performances because he was just flat out dominant. I think those 3 series against New Jersey, Indiana, and Philadelphia, not in that order, but he averaged like 38 points and 13 rebounds in those series, or 35 points, 13
He was
rebounds.
Unstoppable.
Yeah, for those 3 years, he was just completely dominant. I actually, though, if I had to rank the playoff performers in history, I got Jordan number 1, as I think you do. I would put Bill Russell number 2 and Shaq third. And I go with Bill Russell because he made 12 trips to the finals, and he won 11 of them. You know,
But the only problem is, and I'm not going to poo-poo his career or act as if it didn't matter, but you got to admit it was a different NBA with fewer teams. But who was he
going against? Wilt Chamberlain.
But still, it was with fewer teams, and it was almost like when people talk about the Yankees made it to the World Series 8 out of 10 years in the 50s. Yeah, but when you realize that there were no playoff structure, if you finished first, you went automatically to the World Series. That's not the same as if you're going through 4 rounds of playoffs in order to beat teams.
I would say it's a little different, though. You're right. Only 8 teams or whatever at that time.
That's all it was.
However, you had to go through – he went through Wilt Chamberlain. He went through Elgin Baylor, Jerry West. He went through a lot of great players, and we can talk about all the Hall of Famers he had with him. But I would argue that a lot of those guys are Hall of Famers because they played with Bill Russell and won all those rings. So I would actually have LeBron like 5th all-time playoff performer at this point.
All right. Topic 2, barring an upset or an injury, LeBron looks like he's headed to his 7th straight NBA Finals and 8th Finals appearance overall. Chris, you already know how I feel about LeBron, but try to convince me that LeBron can become the GOAT.
So you don't think he can become the GOAT?
No, it's impossible.
You got him second all time right now.
Right.
I got him second too. I'm not gonna say definitively. He probably never, like Jordan is pretty much the undisputed GOAT, right? Some people would say Wilt, some older
when you're
people.
Perfect, it's hard.
Most people would say Jordan. Jordan's undisputed, right?
6-0 in the NBA Finals, all 6 MVPs.
But So I don't think LeBron will ever get to the point where he's just undisputed GOAT like Jordan is. But I think if he wins this year and next year, I think you can make a strong argument for LeBron to be the GOAT. And I think a lot of younger people that didn't see Jordan would say that. And this would be the argument. Number one, I think LeBron, if he beats this Warriors team and then wins it again next year, probably over this Warriors team, I would say he's beaten much better teams than Jordan beat in the finals. Jordan did not play in an era of super teams. When he did, in the 80s, the Celtics were a super team, Lakers were a super team, Pistons were a super team. He never beat them in their prime. He beat teams where the Lakers had Magic and Sam Perkins. Worthy actually was hurt one of the games in those finals. Byron Scott missed one of those games too. That wasn't a super team. Portland had one Hall of Famer, Clyde Drexler. Phoenix, one Hall of Famer, Charles Barkley.
But wait a minute. Portland was a good team.
They were a good team, but
just because they got one Hall of
era.
Famer, but that was a pretty good team.
You're not going to match them up, though, against teams with multiple Hall of Famers.
Well, see, I think
in this era, you got, this Warriors team will probably have, people going to laugh right now, probably 4 Hall of Famers.
Huh? Could I laugh?
Durant and Steph, easily. If they
Chris,
win titles, Clay and Draymond going to be Hall of Famers too. That's going to be 4 Hall of Famers.
But the problem with LeBron and why you discount it is because his path from the East is way too easy.
I'm not saying just getting to the finals,
but I'm saying but that's what hurts him when people look and say, yeah, he's made it to the NBA Finals, but he's had nobody in his path. Even in Michael Jordan's day, and you could poo-poo the Knicks or Indiana or some other teams that he had to beat.
Knicks had Reggie Miller.
Okay, but they did have some players.
Good players, but not other Hall of Famers.
Patrick Ewing was a Hall of Famer.
That's it.
Reggie Miller was a Hall of Famer.
That's it. That's one per team.
But I'm saying those were the Davis boys with Indiana were
good.
They were.
Good
Charles
role
Oakley
players.
was good. Charles
good
Oakley.
role player.
But I'm just saying.
I know you with New York. You think he was a superstar.
No, I didn't say he was a superstar, but he was a good player. And all I'm saying is LeBron's path weakens your outlook on him.
His path to the finals is weak.
Okay.
I agree. In the East. But I'm talking about if he
was
wins
in the West,
these championships,
he wouldn't have gone to the NBA Finals 7
question.
years in a row,
No
and
question.
that's what hurts.
But I think there's another argument. If he wins these next 2, that'll be 5 total. It's still not 6. But I think the longevity argument, he's already in his 14th year. He's probably got 2 years left as a top 5 player, maybe 3. He's going to be in the top 5 in scoring and assist all time, or top 10 assists all time. Nobody else is even in it can come close.
Well, but
to
also
that.
you got to remember he didn't play college ball, so he came in.
Yeah, he came in early.
So he has a 4 year, 3-4 year advantage. Plus, he's never been hurt.
Well, that's a credit to him.
I'm just saying, but when you add all those things together, yeah.
But everybody that's come in early hasn't had a long career. Tracy McGrady came in early, didn't have a long
Kobe
career.
played 20 years.
Kobe and Garnett.
Played 20 years,
but it's not automatic. Eddie Curry, Tyson Chandler, Tracy McGrady, Al Harrington. A lot of guys came in early and left early. But so I think I got that one on you.
No, you didn't get that one.
All right, look. After closing out the Memphis Grizzlies last week, Spurs coach Greg Popovich had this to say about Kawhi Leonard.
And obviously Kawhi Leonard is, in my opinion, the best player in the league right now. He's the best two-way player and does it all with such class. It's impressive.
All right, Rob, do you think Kawhi has taken LeBron's title as the best player in the league?
No way, no how. I wanted to bring that to the zone, right? No, I'm not buying it. And I understand what he's saying. Kawhi Leonard is a fantastic player, okay? He really is. And whenever you can play defense on the defensive end, you get extra points. People love it because, the guy can score, but he also can defend. And you just don't get that. Guys are either scorers or defenders because they can't score. He's both. But LeBron is still the best player in the league. I'm just... As much as people might say I bash LeBron, I recognize.
I am a little surprised.
I recognize his talent. I don't. That's not to say that Kawhi can't be or down the road, but as long as LeBron's playing and at the level he's playing at, I still think he's the best player. And I get Pop. It's his guy. The guy plays and gives him everything, and I understand why you would want to say that, make the guy feel really good.
Yeah.
Doing a playoff
and
push.
Maybe you put something, I don't think it'll work, but, he and LeBron have a good relationship from Team USA. you put a little something in LeBron's mind that, this all-time great coach thinks Kawhi is better than you. So maybe you try to send a little mental warfare. But I'm with you. If you watch a game, there's no way you can say Kawhi Leonard dominates a game like LeBron James does. Even though he's, at this point, a better defender than LeBron is. LeBron used to be a great defender. Now he's still a pretty good defender, but not what he used to be. But the way he controls the tempo, the action, the fact that he's a huge scorer, but also a playmaker, creating for his other teammates.
He can do everything, LeBron, and that's the whole thing. If he wants to and is willing to, do that.
Yep.
So that's why it's hard to think of anybody. That doesn't mean he was the MVP of the league.
Exactly.
Because I don't think he was the MVP. I think.
Who would your vote have gone to? Or did you vote? Did you have a vote?
No, I didn't have a vote. But Westbrook.
Okay.
I thought because it was historic, we saw something that we hadn't seen. A lot of guys have played this game in order to go for a triple-double. In this league, when all these other players, and it hasn't happened since the 60s, you got to give the man his due, especially losing Kevin Durant and then putting in that kind of season.
And still getting the same number of assists.
Absolutely. So that was impressive.
Every player or former player that I've talked to about that has gone with Westbrook.
Yeah.
That's who I voted for.
And it's not that Harden didn't have a great year. But the thing is, LeBron might be the best player, but he won the MVP this year.
Exactly.
He still he's the best player.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Ho.
All right, we know the Rockets embarrassed the Spurs in Game 1 by 27 points, provoking some pundits. Even Colin Cowherd said that Greg Popovich is overrated. Chris, do you agree? Is Pop an overrated head coach?
As I once heard a great reporter say, no way, no how.
Thank you very much.
No way. It's ridiculous to think Popovich is overrated. Popovich is the Bill Belichick of the NBA.
No, wait a minute. Bill Belichick
without
cheats.
question.
Stop.
Okay, all right. I'll
be
take
careful.
that. All right, taking that away.
Take that away now. That's a big difference.
Take that away, but just as far, you know what I mean, the productivity, Popovich is incredible, and he's never had Kobe, Michael. I know he had Tim Duncan. No question.
Don't poo-poo Tim Duncan.
I'm not. But I'm just saying he never had Kobe and Shaq. Or Duncan and Kobe. You know what I'm saying? Phil Jackson had Kobe and Shaq, then Jordan and Pippen. I mean, Popovich he had one player in his prime of that caliber, and that was Duncan. And every year they're in the hunt. And what I like about Popovich and why I think he's one of the greatest, he adjusts to his players. All right, he's not like Phil Jackson, who no matter who the players are, they got to run the
He's going to fit
triangle.
him in the wedge.
Yeah,
right.
Mike D'Antoni, you got to run my way. When it was Duncan and Robinson, Twin Towers, defense first, play in the post. When Duncan got older, Tony Parker is our guy. We're going offense over defense. Then he became a three-point shooting team when they beat Miami in 2014. Then he got LaMarcus Aldridge, Kawhi Leonard emerged. Now they run ISO a lot because that's better suited for their team. So his adaptability and to be able to have this type of success, he's arguably the best coach in NBA history.
I still say there are questions, and I always look at people from this standpoint, that you have to win. Like I look at coaches, did they win with other people? So what I'm saying is, I always say anybody can win one. Okay. Coaches, okay? So to me, I look at his reign that he never was able to win anything without Tim Duncan yet. So
well, it's only been one year.
But I'm saying for me to really solidify, and I've seen all the stuff that he's done. I've also seen some snafus coaching late where Tim Duncan isn't in the game.
He's made his mistakes,
some mistakes,
but
everybody does. But I still believe that, and when I talk about that, I always look at Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells, to me, is one of the all-time great coaches. Won 2 Super Bowls with the Giants, and even though he didn't win again, right?
Okay.
Jets were 1-15. He took them to the AFC Championship game. He went to the Super Bowl with the Patriots. Then he also went to Dallas, and I'm just saying, everywhere he went,
they won.
And that's what I look at for a coach.
You could say that about Popovich.
I want to see Popovich win. Now, if he wins a championship or two without Tim Duncan, then I'm with you. If he never wins again, I'm going to count Tim Duncan a lot in the equation.
No question, but how about this? First of all, okay, you said Parcells never won a championship with those other teams.
Right.
this is the only year he's been without Tim Duncan so far. They won 61 games.
No,
now they're not going to win a championship,
but
they're
if they
still
do,
a good team.
no, but I'm saying that if they do, then I would look at that a little different. Because once you
what
don't
about
have those,
Duncan being way past his prime for the last championship, 2014?
Yeah,
Now, that was not the same Tim Duncan.
No, it wasn't. But they got everything. Things just worked out for them, and I'm not going to take it away. But Tim Duncan wasn't the player he might have been for the first 4 championships, right? But he still was a
presence.
But Tony Parker came out of nowhere. You know what I mean? As far as a second-round pick,
Parker's
who turned
be
into a Hall of
Famer.
Famer, right? I'm not too many.
They made some good picks. Manu Ginobili,
and Ginobili's a hell of a player.
Ginobili was second-round. Parker was late first. Yeah,
right. Okay.
All right. So you agree with me? He's not overrated.
No, I don't agree with you. I think that there's until
overrated.
Where
do you rate? Where is he rated?
He is a great coach, but I want to hold off before I anoint him the greatest coach in the NBA, like you just said.
So who? Arguably, who you give it to? Phil?
Well, Phil Jackson. You know what? It's not only that Phil won in 2 places, and I know he had 4 of the greatest players.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot more that goes into it. It's hard to take away a guy who's won that many times. And Phil also won a CBA championship, which people might poo-poo or discount.
No, moving on, man.
I'm serious. Come on. It tells you
CBA,
something. Yes.
The Albany Protrudes, right? Nah, I'm
they must have won.
that.
How'd they win?
I'm poo-pooing that, all right? Despite a Hall of Fame career, Chris Paul has never made it out of the second round of the playoffs. Once again, struggled. You giving me your answer already. Are you saying, is he a choker, Chris Paul?
Absolutely. I just and I say it from this standpoint. Great players, sometimes you can win a series by yourself and take a team. And you can't use Blake Griffin as an excuse because
being injured.
They won game 6 in Utah, right? To force game 7. You come home to your own crib. That's a moment for you, and then you have a subpar game in a big game.
13 points.
13 points is not the game you're going to have. And that doesn't mean that his whole career stinks and he's no good or what. But to not be out of the second round of the playoffs this late into his career and some of the players that he's had around him, it's not good enough. And so if I want to use the label, if that's the question, choker or not a choker, I have to say choker to just be honest.
Yeah, I would hate to call him a choker. Look, he's had some bad moments in the clutch. Really going back to 2014, Oklahoma City Game 5, they're up. Look like they're gonna go up 3-2 and probably win that series over Durant and Westbrook. He makes 2 terrible turnovers in the last 45 seconds. They lose the game. They have been leading by 7 with 45 seconds left, and then they lose the series. Houston, it wasn't all his fault. I don't think anything specific he did, but they were up 3-1 on the Rockets.
You can't have that, and that's what we talk about with great players is that, dude, you got to win one. You know what I mean? Like, even if you just take over one of those games, the last 3, and just say, I'm going to do this, we're going to win this game, and that's what you needed. It would have been great just to see him in this Game 7 come out after they won a big game, take over, right?
By far,
right? Take over, win that game. You can't let Utah come to LA and win that game on your home court.
But the reason he didn't speaks to what his problem is. His problem is that he is a true point guard through and through. Okay, and so a true point guard, he's a reluctant scorer. Chris doesn't want to go out there and get you 25 points a night. He's turning down shots. He's trying to pass the ball and get everybody else involved. When you do that, when you're that type of point guard, you need other guys. You need another alpha scorer.
There's no doubt
about it.
Blake
Griffin doesn't have that go-to move where he's going to do it for you. Chris doesn't really want to be that guy. So that's why I think a big part. Like Isaiah was a true point guard, but he also was a true scorer. Like he wasn't a reluctant
no doubt about
scorer.
it. No.
That's the difference between him. He'll go out and get you 50 if I have to. If he put on his scoring hat
day and just say he'd go out and score 35 points
that's
with no
the
trouble.
Difference.
Right?
Yeah.
There's
and
no
Chris
doubt about it.
He doesn't want to do that.
But sometimes you just need a guy like that. If he's your guy,
he's got to. You're right.
To come out and do that. Not all the time, but that was a situation. They need me today, and me being a facilitator is not going to get it done to close out a series. That's it. Celtics took a 2-0 lead in the thriller against the Wizards last night behind Isaiah Thomas's 53 points. Chris, is Isaiah the best small player ever? And the definition of small player, we're talking about under 5'10".
5'10" and under. The only one I think, I mean, obviously people think of Muggsy Bogues, 5'3". Michael Adams, remember him in Denver, 5'10".
He played for the Bullets too, didn't he?
Yeah, he was there. Yeah, he was with a few teams. And then Calvin Murphy, though, is the argument. Calvin Murphy, Hall of Famer. But I'm gonna say Isaiah Thomas is now the best 5'10" and under player we've ever seen, and this is why. Because he is leading this team. One, he led them to the number 1 seed. And I know Cleveland's the best team in the East and could have easily gotten it. But still, he led them to a number 1 seed. He averaged 29 points a game. He was in the MVP conversation. Wasn't going to win it. He was 5th on my ballot. And I think he may end up finishing 5th in the race, 5th or 6th. Calvin Murphy, as great as he was, never sniffed an MVP award. Only made 1 All-Star team in 13 years. Isaiah's already made 2 All-Star teams. Probably going to make an All-NBA team.
Yeah, but he's been in the league
year.
7-8 years. That's not that impressive, two All-Stars.
Yeah, but it's more impressive than 1 in 13.
No, there's no doubt.
So he's been in, I think, 6 years, 2 All-Star games. And the fact that he has not only carried them to the number 1 seed, but carrying them to the second round and maybe the conference finals the way it looks right now, I have to give him the props. Calvin Murphy made the finals, made the conference finals, but was not the leading scorer on either of those teams.
I think sometimes we get caught up, prisoner of the moment, and it's not to take anything away. 53 points in a playoff game when so many other great players haven't done it. You know what I mean? So you have to give them
We're just talking about taking over.
There's no doubt, right?
Yeah.
No doubt about it. So, yeah, when you look at him and you look at his size, it's unbelievable. He's almost impossible to guard. And he can score from everywhere on the floor. He's an incredible player. But at this point, I guess he would probably be that guy when you look at 5'10" and under. You have to give it to him. Calvin Murphy's there, though, and your numbers and what you're talking about with the All-Star games and stuff in 13 years, I get all that. But he averaged 18 points a game, which is impressive. Great for a guy of that size.
Yep, he was great. But Isaiah, look, I've been reluctant to give Isaiah his props. I mean, I've known he's a great player, but like I felt John Wall was the best player in this series. Now I got to give it to Isaiah. I mean, he's carried them to 2 straight victories, and Wall, while he's a little different than Chris Paul, he will go out and score. He's also that true point guard, too, and facilitating. Isaiah's not worried about that.
No, he's trying to win.
Scorer.
Right,
he's going out and scoring, so.
The 5-foot assassin with the roughneck business.
All right, look, it's a foregone conclusion that Golden State and Cleveland will meet each other again for the 3rd straight NBA
I just threw
finals,
up in my
right?
mouth. Okay, go ahead.
All right, look, do you think this NBA era is less competitive than we've ever seen in league history?
Absolutely. I am the one guy voting in the country who doesn't want to see the trilogy or the three-peat or whatever you want to call it. I think it's bad for the league. The league is way too top-heavy.
This will be the first time ever.
Right. I mean, and that speaks volumes about, because this league has had a lot of great players. And when you think that 2 teams have never met 3 years in a row, it says a lot. And I think, and it's not totally against the Warriors and totally against Cleveland. It talks about just the rest of the league and what place it's in, which NBA America isn't a good place, Chris, because you want other teams to be involved. You could go to other sports and look at baseball and look at football, and it's not the same teams every year. And I think that's a problem.
What about those that would say, now granted, they never met 3 straight years, but I think they met 3 times in 4 years. The Birds, Celtics, Magic, Lakers.
No, and I get that, and don't get me wrong. I just think that the difference in that, and yes, they're always great teams in every league. So I'm not saying it's not about being a great team. I just never seen the other teams with far less competition. That's when you look at the East and you look at these teams, they're just really Brooklyn, the Knicks. They're just a lot of really bad teams, not competitive teams.
Well,
and I think that's the problem that I have with the league. Not so much that Cleveland and Warriors are good, But where's the rest? Who's pulling up the back end to where they're just decent, or at least the first round series, a lot of them 4 and over, 4 and done.
Yeah,
Everybody's
yeah.
saying the Pacers were going to give them a run. Really,
Well, I look, I'm with you in that this year, the Warriors and the Cavs are head and shoulders above everybody else in their conference, and we really haven't seen the league like that. But just last year, I wouldn't say it's a whole era yet, because last year the West was phenomenal. I mean, you had 3 teams that people thought legitimately had a shot to come out of there, Oklahoma City, and they really should have beaten Golden State. So now the problem is when Durant went to Golden State. Well, Durant, when he went to Golden State, that made it incredibly lopsided. I would love for Kevin Durant or some other great star to go to the East, go to Boston, go to Washington, and take another team and make it elite, because that's what we're lacking. I think the quality of play in the league is, we've always had bad teams. That's not new.
No, there's no
We've always
doubt
had
about
terrible
it.
teams.
I covered the Nets in the late 80s. They used to win 17 games a year.
So you know.
So I know. I've seen bad basketball.
And it's always, too, about 4 or 5 teams that you really say are in the hunt for a championship. The problem is this year we all felt like it was really 2.
I think that's a problem for the league, and I think it reflected in the TV ratings, which were down this year.
Although in the playoffs they're up.
Right, but the regular season they were
Yeah.
down, and that says something when you have such teams like Kevin Durant going to the Warriors, and you have LeBron and them basically the whole year leading the way.
Yeah, the East.
But still, it said a lot that the
Yeah.
ratings went down. As
Well,
much as
and you
they
know
did.
what else it tells me, especially with the ratings in the playoffs being up like 11 to 15%. It tells, like, the NBA playoffs are different than any other playoffs because it's 2 full months,
Right,
where you have games almost every day.
But the only problem
baseball's not that long. Football's obviously not that long.
But the only thing is, what's happened is because of the imbalance in the league, it's made the regular season almost.
Well, I think that,
like,
but I
that doesn't
also
count.
think
Like, it doesn't-
the
it just
fact
doesn't-
that the playoffs are a separate season,
Right. But I'm saying it's gotten to the
and
point.
it's good.
Well, to
I
me,
think the playoffs have been good so far,
Right, but
even though we know it's who's ending up getting to that.
but still, that
Like Washington, this Washington-Boston series is good. Memphis-San Antonio was great.
I would love to see somebody else. I would love to see who
would you want to see?
The Rockets somehow pull up the major upset. Now, how about the Rockets and the Celtics? Or just something
come on.
different.
Wait, what?
Yes, I
You
just want
the
something
only,
different.
like you said, you the only dude
man
in America. You want to see Rockets Celtics?
Yes, I just don't
I
want to
would
see.
rather see Celtics Warriors in the finals than
I
Rockets.
don't
Warriors.
want to see the Warriors. I don't want to see the Cavs no more. Golden State went up 1-0 over the Utah Jazz last night. 5 Warriors finishing in double figures. 17 points for Kevin Durant. Chris, if Golden State wins the championship this year, would Durant's ring be tainted?
I don't think so. I was one of those that wasn't killing him for going there. I think, though, he has to play really, like, he has to be the best player. During the regular season, when he was there for 60 games before he got hurt, he was clearly their best player. And you were beginning to hear people who had criticized him for joining the Warriors starting saying he's got to be in the MVP race. Like, they were, he was changing the narrative to the point where when he got hurt, Barkley even said, they can't win it without him. 0 chance, Charles Barkley. So that's how he flipped the script. So he can flip the script and change the narrative, but he has to be their best player. If he wins it, averaging 17 points a game, and Steph is just killing and carried him, and he's the MVP, there are those that are going to look at that ring and say, man, you used to be the man. Now you were just riding the bus rather than driving it. So I do think even if he's not quite finals MVP, as long as he's 25 points a game or something, like, really plays great, I don't think it'll be tainted.
Sometimes I watch the Warriors and I look and I just don't think they really even need Kevin Durant. I think that they could have make this run without him. And that's saying a lot for a great player like that. And it makes me start to think that the reason they wanted him was to get him out of the way. You know what I mean? Almost. And remember, Golden State was down 3-1 with the tandem of Westbrook and Durant and, OKC choked to me in that series, and they
you up
went
3-1,
on.
you
Right.
should
They
win, yeah.
should win it, especially with a great player
Yep.
like Durant, and you had Westbrook, and you couldn't win one game. But I just wonder about that, if that's really was their motivation, is having him out of the way, which opens up their run
Yeah,
to be able
to
to
be
have
dominant.
to be dominant in the West with nobody other than San Antonio there lurking.
Yeah.
But really, that was the team that was in the way for them.
No question.
And I think that I'm starting to believe, if I was Kevin Durant, I would wonder to myself, do they really need me? Did they really want me, or did they want me out of the way? I
Well,
really believe that.
The story, because I had to report and cover that, he really wanted to go there. Now they would have went after if they had not gotten inklings and a notion that he wanted to go there, because remember, he's tight with Draymond. They're texting Draymond saying, look, we might be able to get KD. I'm tight with him, whatever. They would have went after him, because that's what they do. Remember, they went after Dwight Howard. And they didn't have any money. So I think and I know from talking to people in that organization, if they had won the championship last year, Golden State, they still would have went after Durant. That speaks to your point. Maybe part of it would have been to get him out of the way. I think that was just part of it. I don't think that was the main thing.
And that he wanted to come made it easy. But I really believe that they said to themselves, well, if we get him, right, we got a better shot at winning. But he's also not in our way anymore.
No, I think that's part of the
And now it's
thinking.
a 5-year championship run, rather than if they don't win this year and they've only won
And they
one,
didn't have him.
right? Then all of a sudden
It could be over.
It could be over,
Yeah.
and you look at it and go, they were a cool team,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
had a little thing, and it all worked out, and Kyrie and Love were hurt, and it
Yeah.
all worked out for them, and they won. You know what I
they
mean?
wouldn't be.
It would be totally different dialogue, and that's why.
Well,
I wonder
and I
about it.
think that's the thing too. They looked at it, the chances of being maybe that team, or maybe winning 2 and being a good team historically, or you get Durant. Now you got a chance to become a dynasty,
Right.
And like you said, you do get him out of the way. So I think it was just part of their thinking, not like we don't really
Like a
want
sinister
him.
plan.
Yeah, we don't want him, but let's just get him out of the way. I think they really wanted him to help him too, because they did feel as Steph has not been great. He's been really good. I think he should have been the Finals MVP the first year, but he hasn't dominated the finals like a lot of people thought he should, and they see that. And so now you get Durant. Even if Steph's not dominant, Durant could be dominant. So I think it was a lot of different things. Look, last question. Several Warriors players, we're going to stick with them, made fun of their series against Utah by saying there's no nightlife in Salt Lake City when they play their games there. Rob, is that a sign that the Warriors are losing their championship focus?
I don't think they're losing their championship focus. I think that they're bored, because they know that they know since the season started.
Maybe your boys, the Rockets, will do
right?
something
You
with
know
it.
that they're bored, and they're like, so they're making fun of it. We've all been to Salt Lake City. I used to go when it was the Salt Palace and stay at the Marriott across the street and have to go buy a booze from the liquor store next to the bar and all that. So Utah, there isn't much going on. So I just think they're having fun with it. They're bored more than anything. They know they got a job to do, but are they afraid of Utah, or thinking that they're going to get derailed in Salt Lake City? I don't think so. So that's why I think they're more like having fun with it, because there's really nothing else. What are they going to talk X's and O's and how they're going to stop Utah, and oh my God, like this is unbelievable?
Nah, I hear you. I mean, it's not a good look. It looks like the question, maybe they're losing focus, but Utah can't punish them. And like you said, they know they're going to win. Look, you and I both have covered the NBA for decades, all right? I'm not the party animal that you are, or used to be, or are,
Used to
whatever.
be,
All right,
used
all
to
right.
be.
What city does have the best nightlife in the NBA? I guess you're going to say Atlanta.
How'd you know Magic City?
I hear
Did I
things.
say that?
I've never been there. I've never been
Did
there,
I
but
say
I
that?
hear things.
You've never
I
been
got
to Magic
sources.
City?
Nah, man, you know I don't roll like that.
Wow. I'd say Atlanta.
Because of Magic City.
Because of Magic City from the beginning. That's an unbelievable
You were hanging out
place.
with those Knicks players there.
Oh,
when they got in
but I didn't
trouble.
get caught up. You know, I wasn't on the videotape. But no. Yeah, Atlanta would be one of those, definitely. I always had a good time. I was trying to think. Chicago too. You know, Chicago's a great town to go out in and have
New
fun.
York, of course.
And New York,
LA,
but that was my base.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And L.A. Also, one of the greatest moments of nightlife hanging out, and I'm not going to say who the reporter is, but I went out with him to a party or something, and not only did he meet a TV actress at the party we went to. He wound up getting married. They wound up getting married. It was yes, unbelievable. I can still remember
What
that
city?
day in L.A.
Wow.
Like we went to L.A. We went out and he was like, "Man, I just met this great chick, whatever." And she wound up being a TV actress, and they wound up getting married.
Wow.
So
all right.
I never had such luck, but that was pretty cool.
Well, look, man. I'm sorry I was so rough on you.
No,
I
it's
think
all
you
right.
might have got 1 out of the 9 or
think
something
so?
like that.
I think it was more like 7-2. All right.
All
But
right,
it's your
7-2,
show.
7-2.
But it's
You
your
got,
show,
you
so
got
we'll let
two. You got 2.
All right.
Thank you for
Chris,
coming to the
always,
zone.
man.
We'll get you back,
Appreciate it.
man, for sure.
Appreciate it.
All right.
And if you don't know, now you know.
That's it for this week's show. Please remember to subscribe to us on iTunes and SoundCloud. Give us 5 stars and leave a nice comment. Make sure you also catch me live on my nationally syndicated radio show along with my co-host Brian Noe on Fox Sports Radio every Saturday, 8 to 11 p.m. Eastern. We'll be reacting to live games and covering all of the major stories in sports. See you next week. Peace.
I'm in my zone. Yeah, I'm in my zone.